Incremental routines. So you may think that, okay, now I discovered or I mastered space repetition. Then the question that I ponder is, can I use a space repetition software for everything, for anything? I just do language or factual science, whatever. But I can also do birthdays, dates, faces, whatever you want to memorize. Can be used for absolutely everything. Or there's something that, can I use space repetition to memorize how to do yoga, martial arts, playing the piano? You know what I mean? So let's see. What is space repetition software best for? Space repetition software excels of long-term retention of discrete facts or small chunks of knowledge. For instance, language vocabulary, formulas or definitions, historical dates, scientific facts, professional exam material, and so on. That is very easy. So if it's historical dates, who discovered America from the Western point of view, or which year Columbus discovered America, or science facts, what's the weight of the atom, or at which speed does the light travels, Definitions, easy. Or language vocabulary, monolingual, like if you use in the dictionary, or bilingual, that you ask in a different language. That's very easy to do the flashcard for that. But what about philosophy? What about martial arts? If memorizing or recalling details matters, space repetition software can be your best friend. Nice. It's what excels. Remember that. Then, the perception of everything. Why people think it might. They see space repetition software efficiency at memory tasks and assume it can handle any learning content. But hey, not the learning is the same. We'll get there. Then, reality. That some knowledge types, like deep conceptual understanding or creative skill building, may not map perfectly to flashcards or space repetition. Because what happens in the brain, without going into the jargon with science, is different. So, for me to memorize dates or to memorize words in language is a different process for the brain that memorize how to ride the bike, let's say. Then, what's the insight? Don't force the hammer onto every nail. Space repetition software is potent, powerful, but some tasks can call for different tools. Let's see that. In where space repetition software may fall short. Complex conceptual understanding. If you need thorough comprehension or problem-solving ability, mere recall of facts is insufficient. Exactly. That's what you will need. Incremental reading, which is a superset of space repetition. By just space repetition, having the knowledge doesn't do anything. Imagine I have an oven or something to cook. Okay. And I want to do ratatouille. I have all of the ingredients. I have memorized the ingredients. I have access to them. Okay. Just by having the ingredients there doesn't make the meal, right? I have to cook that. Follow the recipe. So just because I know that I have the knowledge doesn't translate to problem solving ability. I have to apply that knowledge to make coherence of this knowledge that always makes sense. It's not that okay, I know that if the blood pressure increases, this also increases, but yeah, it's knowledge isolated that I cannot have a coherent image, the big picture. Then another aspect is creative or motor skills, like playing the piano. Painting mastery or real-time conversation often requires practice beyond space reviews. I have the knowledge, I know how to do it. That doesn't translate that I do it. In my real case, as an example, for me is swimming. I use some goggles with AI, the Form 2 goggles, that is telling me, hey, the technique is so-so. You need to improve this, or improve that. I'm aware of this. is that I don't forget, is that it's a motor skill. I have automatized through the years something that was incorrect. It's not the right angle. So I have to pay a lot of attention to have the right angle. But if I do it, then I don't pay attention to something else, and that something else then it's compromised. You know what I mean? Or okay, I know that for painting you need this, the factual facts, but if I don't have the skill because I have never painted, I won't do it. I need the practice. I need the motor skills that I do shake and whatever. So having the knowledge here is not enough because it's a motor skill. It's not something conceptual understanding. And then massive reading. Large bodies of text might benefit from incremental reading. Goes beyond spatial repetition, which includes spatial repetition software. It's a superset. But it's not purely Q&A facts. I want to leave it there because I want to focus on spatial repetition, not on incremental reading. But just to let you know, there's this dimension as well. Then, quote, rote memory doesn't automatically yield conceptual mastery. Spatial repetition software is a piece of puzzle, not the whole. And for instance, I'm guilty of this. When I was in the university studying computer science, I used spatial repetition to memorize mathematics, like Ball's theorem. So I could recall every theorem or all of this, the jargon or the sequence, the formulae, everything. But then I have problem to solve. Okay, it's the same problem, changing the numbers and so on, or something we have seen before. Easy. I repeat like a parrot. Da, 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 da. It's a different problem. You have to apply the same concepts, but it's represented in a different way conceptually. That so at the end of the day, it will be a matrix. I have to triangulate the matrix. It will be at the end of the day, it's the same. But how it's represented with with boats. You have boats arranged in a certain way. Man, I have the conceptual understanding. I know the concepts, full comprehension. I'm able to recall the facts, but I don't have the thorough comprehension. I didn't understood the mathematics behind that conceptually. I have only memorized how to execute that. It's when I realized it was my inflection point, the stepping stone, when I realized, wait, spatial repetition helps me memorizing all of this, but it's not helping me in solving those problems, unless the problem is exactly the same, just changing numbers. So remember, rote memory doesn't automatically yield conceptual mastery. Then, balancing spatial repetition with other methods. Deeper engagement. If you combine with self-explanation, teaching to others, or you do role-playing, so you think like, hey, let me pretend I'm explaining to someone else, but it's me out loud, like perhaps I'm doing now. I'm just talking to the webcam. I'm alone here. Or incremental reading for robust understanding. It's the best. There are videos that explains that. If you want the best method, incremental reading. Then, authentic practice. Skills like coding in computer programming. It's also a good example, by the way, not just mathematics, which I mentioned. Or writing needs real projects or tasks. I can know how to program or to code from the theoretic point of view, the loops, all of that, how they work. But if I never created a project, it could be as simple as creating a Pac-Man game or whatever. I don't have the skills to do that. An app that exists by itself, can be executed, save the states, and it's coherent as a whole. Nice. Then spatial repetition alone can provide this experiential context. That's why, for instance, if you want coding, absolutely you can use a spatial repetition for coding. But it's on the side. It's one of the things you will do, not the thing. In this case, you will do a lot more practice and project building than a spatial repetition. Spatial repetition will be the best Pareto principle, 20% of your time. and 80 would be actually coding with projects. Then, focusing on high-value facts. Spaced repetition software remains ideal for knowledge. You must recall reliably. High value. So it's always about the same thing. Diminishing returns. You will draw the line somewhere that the diminishing returns no longer outweigh the benefit. The time and effort I invest is more than the time I will save in my next decade, 3 decades, or the rest of my life. Therefore, it's cheaper to actually neglect it. So, tip. Does memorizing those details truly matter? If yes, if so, spaced repetition is prime. If not, maybe a different approach is best. Perhaps you want just personal knowledge management and archive this information, so if you ever need it in the next decade, you just do a query and retrieve that, if this ever happens. And that's it. Then, examples. So a good example that is also good, that I didn't mention until now. So, language learner. What you will do? Use a spaced repetition for vocabulary, grammar patterns, using sentences. So you are not going to do, what's the first grammatical rule? Nah, that is just for a school system. You will have example sentences, some of them in different ways that can work, or they are mistakes, you have to identify the mistake, or you have a blank, you need to fill it in. Oh, it's the second conditional, the third conditional, whatever. That's good. But real conversations for fluency, cultural nuisance are necessary. So it doesn't matter how many million repetitions I do and how vast my vocabulary is or how well is my grammar if I don't ever have conversations. I need to speak or to write in that language. It's an accessory. So the best thing for vocabulary is a spaced repetition. But spaced repetition alone is not everything. It won't work. Then, medical student. Spaced repetition software for anatomy, drug names, great. Clinical skills, patient interactions, it's beyond. You cannot use a spaced repetition how to treat a person. I also speak by my own experience, not in the medical field exactly. It was more in the physical therapy with people who have conditions for life. They are in pain, like low back pain and so on for the rest of their lives. And they have to do some physical therapy to mitigate this pain. So you reduce it, doesn't go away, and with pills they take, so they can manage that pain and have more or less a good life, right? And okay, I did a bachelor's degree. I did a master's degree on that. But then I faced the real people. And okay, so I can really tell, I do understand where your pain originates, more or less what it is, what affects, so the limitations you have when you sleep or stuff like that. What exercise you need to do, what routine should be good for you to mitigate those symptoms. I know that with spaced repetition. But how do I know how to treat that person? A person who doesn't want to be there. They only want to have less pain. And they come there to the session because they know that at the end of the day, they will have less pain. But if they had no pain at all, they wouldn't be there in the swimming pool. Second, how you treat a person who is constantly on pain. Is that like a person that, oh, I'm tired, so I rest, and once I have rested, I'm myself again? No, it will be always in pain. Oh, it's a challenge. How you treat a person that is always on pain, and how you motivate the people who are constantly on pain. I know you are on pain, but hey, can we do this? I know you have rested, you're still in pain. Can we try this? Oh, please, you just did 2. Do 8 more. You know what I mean? So this goes beyond spaced repetition. And I learned a lot by trial and error. A lot of trial and error. Because I'm human. You try to do, this work with the first person, let's say. Then, hey, this has worked before. Let me do this technique or express it into those words or on this tone of voice, perhaps. Hey, with this person doesn't work. Oh, why? There are more layers here, it's more complex. So you iterate, and you fine tune it. It's never perfect. And then you could use, if you will, spaced repetition that, hey, how I can modulate my voice so it's more encouraging for a person who is on pain but doesn't want to express it. That no, it's like, I'm a macho, I don't feel pain, and stuff like this. So sorry for the long interruption, but it's a genuine case. Then software developer is another case. Space repetition for syntax, library. Syntax is like how you spell it, in case you're not familiar with coding. And library, how they work, is like modules. It's helpful. But building real projects, as before, 80% of the time you need to build projects. And iterate on that. So basically, use a space repetition for the memory scaffolding. Deepen practical skills abilities with hands-on efforts. Another good example is not here. Now it just sparked. Public speaking. You can know what to do, how to speak. You could be a better narrator than I do, a better storyteller than I am. But if you're afraid of people looking at you, staring at you, that's not a skill. You need experience. So it doesn't matter the knowledge you have. You need still the experience to be in the front of the audience. Then, the evolution of space repetition software tools. You have the incremental reading, which is the evolution, the superset that for now only exists in Supermemo. Then you have multimedia that started with text, but then you have images, or now you have videos, or audio recordings, so whatever. That at the end of the day, it's just binary. What you can have in a computer, you can have it in the space of repetition. You can even embed it to videos, if you will. So you can stream from a different computer, doesn't have even to be there, the file. And now with AI. So emerging tools, basically. And perhaps in some years, something that we cannot imagine that transcend even the interface of computers. Then, still not for everything. Even with expansions, space repetition remains the best for knowledge learning. Knowledge-based learning, not an all-purpose learning panacea. I will throw finally some jargon that I was waiting for that. Playing the piano, coding, how to treat people with pain and so on. Those are examples of procedural knowledge. How to ride a bike as well. Something that isn't a skill. And then something that is conceptual, like history, medicine, all of that, a language, it's called declarative knowledge. So space repetition is good for declarative knowledge. Nice. Takeaway. No matter how advanced, space repetition is mostly about memory, factual knowledge. Other learning dimensions need other methods. But not other methods as a substitute, but on addition. That's the key. So conclusion, is space repetition software used for everything? No. Even though it's highly flexible, it's not universally applicable. Where does it shine? It shines in declarative knowledge, so retaining facts, definitions, formulae, vocabulary that can be really recalled. And what are the complementary methods that you will use alongside incremental space repetition? Depth, creativity, skill building, large-scale reading may require additional strategies. Incremental reading still is not the end, and practical exercises to actually use it in real life. Because if you learn something conceptually, but you never apply it, it remains dormant on your brain, then you have wasted your time. So the final thought to wrap up the video. Spaced repetition software is a powerful memory tool, but it doesn't replace the real practice, exploration, or high-level thinking. Use it where memory matters most. Because at the end of the day, spaced repetition software is just a systematic approach to ensure long-term retention. So if you don't have a natural exposure, natural repetition on real life, you have the artificial repetition on the software. So therefore, you guarantee you keep this in long-term memory. That's it. The learning happens elsewhere. You can use incremental reading, so you also have the learning process intermingled with spaced repetition. But still, it's not the end. You need the real practice in the real world. So, have this in mind. Hope has been clear enough. And as always, see you incrementally.